Oh,
Hi there.
hello, hello. I had to bring my family in to help me with the puppy. Thing is like so much work. Like, my God.
I know I have two that are 9 months old.
Oh, really? Yeah, man. Mine's 2 months old. So dude, you are. I'm peering into the future right now, basically.
Yeah.
Does,
Hello.
does it get easier, better? Hey, Andre.
Yeah, they get better.
Okay, okay. Well, at least that's good because yeah, man. Like I'm trying to crate train him right now, and I'm like reading online, like people are like, oh yeah, he'll just sleep through. Not my puppy, man. That thing, like he'll pee in the crate too. Like doesn't even matter. So yeah,
Yeah, you at that age you get up a lot.
yep. Every couple hours it seems.
Everyone. Let me share the link to the notes. Feel free to sign yourself in.
So Ben, while Andrea's getting that sorted out, a trick is no matter what they do, if they end up going in their crate, you just take them outside anyways, so they get the idea that that's where they're supposed to go.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, that's what I've been doing. Well, I started doing that like a couple days ago because I realized that I probably need to disassociate the crate from the bathroom, right?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, it's free past, so maybe we can get started. So welcome everyone to the CDEvents working group. I added a couple of things on the agenda for today, but if there are more things you would like to discuss, please add them as we go. Um, First thing, just a reminder, we have our new working group scheduled to start on the 25th, which is Wednesday. I created a HackMD for the notes. It's also synced with the repo so that we have the notes on GitHub as usual. And I think the first topic for the first meeting would mainly to define kind of the mission and scope of the working group, make sure we have it written down and agreed upon, and also we can use that then to further promote the group and see if we can get more people involved.
And I put together a starting point on that in Google Docs, so we can go over that tomorrow.
Oh, that's cool. Would you mind linking it
Yeah, let
into
me.
here?
I will get it shared and I'll get it linked in here. Let me.
So this is the, yeah, either here or there, right?
Yeah.
Hey, so sorry, Andre. So what are the tasks that are needed before we start the working group? I know you mentioned a couple things, but I want to just kind of get the kind of the summary because I'm kind of new to this process.
Um, I think the first thing that I mean, we can work in that during the first working group. Would be to agree on the mission and scope of the working group itself. And as Steve was saying, he prepared a draft of that so that we have a good starting point for Wednesday um, to review and agree on basically what are the things we want to focus on
Gotcha.
in the
Okay,
working
that
group.
seems yeah, seems simple enough then.
Yeah.
I don't have an invite for that.
Okay. So we
They.
reused the
Yeah.
SIG events one and renamed it, but let me check and make sure that
And when is it?
Tomorrow at 9.
Oh,
um, I Is it
No,
tomorrow?
Tomorrow, the
2 days.
25th.
The 26th, right? Or no, it is 25th. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I
Oh,
have a. I'm
so
showing. I'm
Oh, I
seeing
do
it on the
have it. I
25th.
see it. I see it. I see CD Events Tools and Architecture Working Group.
oh
Cool.
yeah.
So it
Sorry,
did go out.
I said Wednesday, but it's actually tomorrow. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had the right date, but I said the wrong thing.
And when I got the right date, the right day, I got it. I found it. So it looks like it went out okay.
Cool.
Okay,
And
it's in the doc. See if you can access it. Made sure I shared it correctly.
yeah,
All right,
looks good.
perfect.
Oh, can you also add? I don't see it in the CD event tools and architecture meeting notes. Can you also add it there too, please? Because like there's an
Oh,
action item where it says like draft group missing, where it has you as the action owner. And yeah, I think if you just put it there, I think that'll make it really easy to find too.
okay.
Cool. Anything else on the new working group?
No, I'm
No, but
super excited.
yeah, I am too. And I do have a first deadline for the working group. So I have been working with the FinOS DevOps automation group. They're an interesting group because they're basically folks from banks, and they're looking at what they need to do to automate DevOps. I've attended a few of their meetings, and I have pitched CDEvents and having end users participate in the experience. They're pretty excited about the prospects of having a real way to get rid of plugins and have a listener and see CDEvents come to life, so to speak. They would like us to do a sort of a presentation in September. And they asked what we thought we would be able to do. And I said we should be able to give a draft of at least an architecture of it. So I know that Steve has on that doc that he just put out there the functional requirements. So I'm hoping that that group can focus around that so we can take it to the folks at the FinOS DevOps automation. FinOS is part of the Linux Foundation.
Cool. So if I'm understanding correctly, the deadline is to demo something, or is the deadline?
No
Okay, okay.
demoing is going to be required, but it would be great to be able to walk through an architecture that we've already started so that they can see that we're starting to think about what the functional requirements might look like. We may have them work on something like non-functional requirements. I'm not sure, but they would like to get involved. And I think that getting, what I've learned in having discussions about this effort is that everybody wants to start coding right now.
Yeah,
every
yeah.
project we all talk about architecture, and they started doing that as well. And so I try to back them off and say, we're starting, there's going to be a group that's going to focus on this. We should be able to have something, a draft of at least an architecture doc by sometime in September. So they'd like us to present that in September, even if it's not complete.
And
Right.
that was the goal of what I put together was to, in this draft mission statement, was to not put anything about coding in there and just do the
Great.
first step of actual define the requirements, define the non-functional requirements, and then talk about architecture and implementation.
Yeah,
And, and
that I
and leave it at that and not go beyond that for this first go.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And thank you, Tracy, for like kind of like backing them off from the coding portion a little bit, because I'm a huge proponent of proposals design docs first, because that's how you get something with a good foundation. So I really, really appreciate that. I think that'll make things a lot easier in the future as well. And then so you set a deadline. Do we know when we are supposed to give some sort of doc?
He's going to get back to me on it. It's probably going to be sometime in the middle of September, though.
Okay, so we have some time. Okay.
Yeah, we have some time. Absolutely. I know August is sleepy. July is going to be kind of short. So, I didn't promise any kind of complete doc, but a first draft that we could start discussing it with them. Because remember, we need to be able to take this doc to the likes of the Jenkins community, the Tecton community, the harness community, because it will impact them. We'll have to get their buy-in. And I do know that Dedisi has been working. He's on vacation until today. Actually, he's back. But he's been working with Harness as well. And Apple is committed to be behind this project. And Andrea, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Apple's working on, somebody from Dedisi's team is working on security events.
That would be me.
Oh, that's you? Okay, great. Well, so, so we're correct.
Yep.
And how long do you think it will be before you get those security events done? And do you need help on it?
No. So the first proposal. So I talked to the CloudEvents folks. So kind of give you a little bit of context. I know we're digressing a little bit, but I think this is a very important topic. So the first, so when I brought this notion of security to the CloudEvents people, they're really reluctant at first. But once I started explaining, like the reasoning and the the approach that we should take in solving the problem, he or the SIG group was more willing to look at something. And they said, like, rather than trying to solve it all at once, let's first do it. Because I told them, I noticed the first time that we were looking at, or I looked at their past proposal, they didn't really do a deep dive in all of the protocols that they support, which I initially had done as kind of like a draft, and I kind of like voiced that. And so after I showed that or explained this draft of all these differences between all the different protocols, they thought it would be great to have first a pre-proposal, which kind of goes over all the different protocols, where security like signatures could live, how metadata could be persisted, and so on and so forth. So this is going to be the first pre-proposal that's going out today, is my hope. So and then that will be reviewed probably within this week and next week. And then after that gets approved, I'm going to be working closely with the security team here at Apple, not just at Apple, but I also want to get other people from other security groups from all different companies, because if we only talk to us, it's going to be very focused on our use cases, and I want to make sure that it's general enough for everyone. So first, we're going to kind of come up with some foundation, and then I'm going to reach out to other folks outside of Apple and get their opinions and whatnot, and how we can make it a little bit more flexible, what we need to add, what we're missing, and that will probably come weeks after the pre-proposal gets accepted.
Okay, great. And have you shared that proposal with us? Is there a place where we can take a look at it?
Not yet. Like I said, there's a couple action items with wording that I need to clear up, but I can actually have it. What I'll do is I'll push it up, I'll push it to a branch in my repo, and I'll just link it to you guys in Slack, and you guys can take a look if that works.
Great.
Okay.
That works fine.
So hopefully we'll have zero trust, in CloudEvents, which will be a huge win for us.
Yes, that would be. That's getting a lot closer. Some of the stuff, if we could standardize it, I know from the Artilius perspective, it would be sure a lot easier for us. Some of this has been hashed out instead of us creating it from scratch.
Exactly.
Cool. Yeah, that's really great. So I know, Ben, you mentioned in the past that if folks wanted to join the meetings or their proposal, they're welcome to do so. This is happening in the serverless SIG, right? The CNCF.
Yes, that's the serverless SIG that happens on Thursday. It's 11 a.m. my time, so that's Central Time. So I don't know where you guys are all at, but yeah, you know, just figure out where that is. But yeah, and maybe I could let me find the link to the calendar too. That might be a little bit easier to do. Oh, here it is. All right. All right, got the link here. Then go to this doc. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, great to see that happening. I mean, yeah, that's definitely something that would be great to have, to build more on events. Like zero trust, like you said, would be great. Cool. Right. Anything else on either the working group or the Finos? I put a link to what I think is the DevOps Finos automation webpage. Tracy, I hope I got the right one.
You know what, you probably, I've been having, yeah, that should be it, but I can't tell. Some of that stuff has gotten so convoluted. Let me look, see. That should be it, yes. Yeah, so subscribe there and you'll get on the, you should get on the mailing list. I think that's how I found it.
Backstage, supply chain.
So open source supply chain is being managed by John Mark Walker, who used to be with the CD Foundation. And John is who I first brought it up to. He thought that we should bring it up one level higher and bring it and discuss it with the whole group.
That's the, what's that supply chain?
When you start looking around through the Linux Foundation, it's surprising how many DevOps organizations there are.
Yeah. So is it John Walker, you said, Tracy?
Yeah,
Is it?
yeah, John Mark Walker. He goes by John Mark. And he was originally on the board for this, I think the first 2 years the CD Foundation first started.
Right.
He was working for, I want to say Capital One, but that may not be correct. Let me see.
I think Capital One was one of the initial members from the end user perspective.
Yeah.
All righty. Cool. All right, moving forward then, unless there is anything else on this.
Yeah, he was at Capital One and then he went to Fannie Mae. So he was originally on the board for the CDF from the Capital One seat. And he is, I'll just put his, so he should be a really good advocate for us. There's his LinkedIn profile. but he wasn't on the call with the DevOps at the higher or the DevOps automation group in general. He couldn't attend, and they were pretty receptive to the idea. They were very receptive to the idea.
That's good. Thanks for that, Jesse.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
All right, the next thing I wanted to bring up, I mean, we've done the 0.4 release some time ago now, and we've been working on the various SDKs. So I've been working on the Golang SDK, adding support for 0.4, and also try to do it in a way that it would still preserve support for 0.3 as well, and general creator framework, so that we can support multiple versions in the SDK. And most PR are merged now, but I wanted to ask if anyone is interested in going through what the SDK looks like and doing a review before I make a release.
Yeah. Well, is there a PR for the release, or you just mean like in main, just like look at it? Like,
Yeah, no, there's no specific PR for the release. As just the release would be just
the
tagging it,
tag.
and
Yeah, gotcha. I can just diff the tags then, or the tag versus main. All right, cool. Yeah, I'll take a look. I will. Okay, so I guess my question is, what exactly am I looking for? Because like there's some things I want to change, but we don't want to refactor anything, right? So I guess the review for this, the purpose for this review is to make sure we're not missing anything for 0.4. Like, is that a good consensus on what this review would be?
Yeah, no, well, I know that you had some concerns. I just wanted to maybe go through what it looks like, what the API looks like, what it is,
Oh, gotcha.
what it
Okay.
looks like to create events with the SDK now, to
Mhm.
see if you have any specific concern, maybe things that it will become harder to change if we make a release.
Gotcha. Okay, what I'll do then is I'll review it as if like it's like a full on just review of like a new PR, and I will just create GitHub issues with things I see, and then we can talk about them there whenever you see them. How's that sound?
Yep, sounds good.
All right, cool.
And Andre, did you implement links for the Golang SDK?
Yeah, I mean, I implemented support for links as part of the kind of objects, and so you can basically marshal and unmarshal events with links in
Okay,
it,
cool.
and you can validate the compliance files with links and everything. But that's the only part. So obviously we don't have a link service yet, so that's only for the embedded links part,
Okay,
not for the standalone links.
all right,
Yeah,
thanks.
and Link still has a lot of work to be done in the SDK. So if you're using them, like you would have to do a lot of manual work to get like links to like actually propagate properly. So I would wait a little bit before using it unless you want to write all those helper utility functions yourself, which would be great if you want to do that. I'm not going to say no, because if you want to push that back to open source, that would be very, very, we'd love that. So but yeah, I know I've said this in the past maybe, but I really need to create a GitHub issue outlining what needs to be done for the SDKs for the links. I will all right, I'll try to find some time soon to do that.
Yeah, I was just more curious. I'm not going to be doing anything on that front. I think I'll just wait for a little bit. And like you said, once you get that issue out there, then I'll have better context.
All right, cool. Sounds good.
Okay. Since you asked about links, also, I mean, I introduced support for the kind of custom events and schema in terms of, again, of the objects and being able to marshal and marshal them. But there is still work to be done to properly support custom events. So support for custom events is still kind of partial. But yeah, so that I would implement as a follow-up. Right. The other thing I wanted to bring up is that there is a PR about adding Golang tags to the SDKs for the webhook adapter.
It's a little more than that though. So I have a little bit of context on why this is beneficial. If you want me to kind of like jump right into it, or if you want me to give it a summary of like what it's trying to do. Uh, Whichever you prefer. Because it seems like you didn't really understand like why it needed to live in the SDK, but it's doing more it's doing more than just for support for the webhook adapter. So basically, so as Go supports this idea of struct tags. Struct tags is any arbitrary metadata, right? So this allows for any internal tooling, external tooling, whether it's a library or service, to utilize struct tags to basically make some sort of decision. And one of the biggest ones, so as you notice, is that we have JSON tags, right? That really helps with marshaling. However, what if someone wanted a custom marshaler for a different protocol that wasn't cloud events, right? Where they want, eventually they should be able to hook in and then, change like the marshaling, maybe even make it faster. And how would they be able to do that? They would need to look at the JSON tags and do that, right? Which the JSON tags, unfortunately, while great, they're not, there's no real standardization on this, right? So the goal with these struct tags is basically to give a standardization of CDEvents. I'm going to call them CDEvents struct tags, which allows any sort of metadata about the fields themselves. So one area, this is actually a very common concept in a lot of SDKs that are written in Go. AWS, the Go SDK for AWS V1 initially used this, but they have since went to code generation. But they use struct tags to handle marshaling. People will be able to add their own custom marshaling based off of these struct tags. So it's kind of following that similar pattern. And then, it's not just limited to CDEvents struct tag. We can also add other struct tags on top of that. But the one here, though, is the reason why we wanted it specifically for the webhook adapter, now changing a little bit of the topic, is the webhook adapter. We wanted a way of being able to build or copy events without worrying about a field name changing, right? What's good about struct tags is that we can change the name of a field, but keep the struct tag the same, which that's a massive benefit, right? I mean, I imagine we won't do that often, but it is a safer route. So that's another benefit. So there's kind of like two key benefits there. Is that it's a little bit more of a safety guard against, if anyone has custom marshaling or unmarshaling, we don't have to worry about needing to change. If we end up making a major version bump and we needed to change a name of something, those things would not break. So they would continue to work as is, and people wouldn't need to change their code unless they're referencing those types directly, which they probably are. So they probably need to do a little bit of work, but at least their marshaling will still work correctly. So that's kind of like number two's point, is that we need this for the webhook adapter. Well, we don't technically need it, but it would just be a nice to have, plus the caveat of other benefits of other external libraries and tooling, being able to rely on these struct tags to basically do something with it. So another thing that they could do is they could do like code vetting. They can do validation based off these struct tags, based off the name, or with the CDEvents name and whatnot. So there's a lot of strength just by introducing this our own custom like CDEvents struct tag. I hope that makes sense, Andrea.
Yeah, I think I get it. I'm not entirely sure about the keeping the tags and changing the a field name, but I mean, yeah, I understand the point, but I think it sounds like basically we are expanding the what we declare as the stable API for the
Yes.
SDK. So it means that as SDK maintainer, we would have much more to maintain. So I want to make sure that we really need that before we do like an extensive introducing of tags. Also
Gotcha,
because
gotcha.
we have a lot of events, a lot of fields, and
Mhm.
those are all generated.
Yeah,
So it would be good maybe to have a little bit um, of design then maybe in an issue and say what kind of strategy we want to use to generate those names to make sure that they're unique and that they
yes.
actually make sense and that they are maintainable.
Yeah,
And that we don't have to, when we regenerate the SDK, go and manually edit 100
gotcha, gotcha. Okay, cool. I think
tag
that's
names.
definitely yeah, a good approach. And I remember when I mentioned this to Jillander, I told him he could take a crack at it. But I definitely think a proposal is definitely good because I did mention that they need to be unique, right? So I don't know if you addressed that in the initial PR or if you mentioned it. So I'll let you speak on that, Jillander, if you have any context into that. But that was an issue that I did point out.
Yeah, I think the only clash that I see when it comes to subject ID and the context ID and the source, so when we need to maintain the unique values of it, I think I have addressed that in the SPR, so that goes with the unique ID and source. But other things like it generates when the based on the JSON name it is, so it is all unique. I see, so everywhere. Yeah. So,
Okay, cool.
How sorry, how can you know that the name there will be unique to Jalander? Because that's the name of some content field in some event, and there's no guarantee that they are different across events.
Yeah. So one thing I was going to mention, Andrea. So one thing that I think we could do is that if the struct themselves, so let's say we have subject, right? That's a struct, and that has a struct tag. The field also has a struct tag. Maybe when we generate the struct tag for the field, it prepends the structure struct tag on to the field struct tag. So that's one way to keep it unique to the individual structs. I mean, it's not going to be 100% foolproof, but it's I think, a little bit easier to follow, and it's less likely to be a conflict. But yeah, but I think this highlights your point, though, is that we need to come up with a proposal or a design doc on how we plan on handling this, because that's the biggest question.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Sounds good.
Ben, we also wanted to, you want to also mention about the library that we wanted to use because the CopyGen, which serves this purpose, actually had some issues that we discussed, and about the new library, you want to anything?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, there's a new library that we're looking at that could potentially work, but I don't want to go through it right now because it's kind of deep and there's a lot of stuff in there. So and it's gonna take literally the like it could take a whole hour or two just like going over that library. But I think what we can do though is maybe in the architecture SIG, maybe not this week because we're setting up everything, we can go over that library. What do you think, Jolander? I think that's appropriate. It's like it's going over a tool that makes a lot of sense, right?
Okay, yeah. So,
Okay. Sounds good. Um, is that fair to say that then this will not block releasing 0.4?
Yeah, yeah. I
Um,
would say don't make it a blocker because yeah, I don't think that's that big of a deal. And the new library that we're looking at, like you don't need technically a struct tag, but like you said, there's a huge benefit outside of webhook adapters that we should probably just add them anyways.
Alrighty. Okay. I guess in the interest of time, maybe then we should switch to the Java SDK, if that's okay.
Sounds good.
All right. So for that, I've seen. I think you, Ben, and Andres already reviewed it. Jolanda, you asked me to review it. I didn't manage to yet. Um, I I'll try to review it. That said, I'm not a big Java expert, so I was wondering if there is any specific area that you're looking for a review on, or just general review on the PR.
Yeah, I think Ben and Andres reviewed it. I think there are fair much of comments that are addressed. Yeah, I think if a general review will be good, I think. Yeah, I think once this is done, so it's a 0.4.1, so that we are creating this PR with. I also started working on the custom event support, so on top of 0.4.1. So, but it's not a must go with 0.4.1, but I started working on, so I can propose this, like how I'm using it for Java SDK and how it can be used for other Go SDK. So we can discuss when the PR is up. So
Cool.
And also, Andrea, I think there's something going on with the Git repo because I don't think everybody's in the reviewers. So I think there's only a set number of people that are in the reviewers. So even though somebody else approved it and reviewed it, it didn't count as being peer reviewed. Does that make sense?
Um, yeah, let me check who is the maintainer for that.
I know it's pretty different across different open source organizations. What is our strategy? Like, I guess what is the review story? Are we okay just accepting anyone as a reviewer, and that being, if they say okay, we just merge it, or um it looks like we have teams. Okay, so
Yeah, I set up teams, but I think it's up to us what we want to do, and it doesn't have to be the same for whoever is working on Go or
right.
Java or Rust. I mean, it can be different, whatever each team prefers. So for Java's currently maintainers list is this. If you want to be added to the maintainers for the Java one, then I'm happy to add you.
Oh yeah, sure. I can, yeah, that'd be good, I think.
But yeah, I guess Jalander is the main maintainer, so I think as long as Jalander is happy with that as well.
Oh, XIBZ, yeah. Oh, XIBZ.
Ah,
Oh, I think you have to
apologies.
add, you have to click add member. That's the search bar. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Right. Okay.
But that didn't answer your question though, Steve, right? You were asking about just like reviews are not counting, right? Like we should
Well,
probably fix
that
that.
was because you weren't on the in this
Oh, gotcha,
list.
gotcha. Okay,
So
okay.
even though you reviewed and approved it, it didn't count
Oh,
uh,
gotcha.
because you weren't on the maintainers list. So this
Yeah,
will
Okay,
that
makes sense.
that'll fix that.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
It's just that I think in the branch protection, I put I usually put like yeah, review by a maintainer required or something like that. Sorry, it's not here. But that's, I mean, there are like many different configuration we can set up, but try to use kind of standard
I
setup.
think
So
I think since our group is small enough that we can just address these as they come up, like we just did. Nothing to get,
yeah,
no reason to get fancy now.
yeah. So just require pull request and require approvals, require status checks, linear history, and so forth.
Ah, cool,
And
cool.
I mean, we could add require signed commits. I think it
Uh,
was initially in, but then removed it because it was
can we
creating
add
issue.
one thing at the very bottom? Disallow force pushes. Like, I don't think we should allow people to force push into the repos, because that could really break a lot of things, right? Like, especially Git history.
I don't think anyone can push. Where is it?
It's at the very bottom. This includes administrators. So like if I went into, like, for instance, the Java SDK and I just wiped out the history and did a force push, I would wipe out everything. So bottom down one.
Yeah, it's disabled by default.
Oh, sorry,
you have
I
to
had it backwards. Okay,
yeah,
sorry, I had it backwards. Okay, sorry,
yeah.
sorry, sorry.
I mean, you can enable a list of people there, but by
No, no, no. Sorry, I thought it was I thought it was disabled by default, but it's enabled by default. That's interesting because maybe this is just like a GitHub Enterprise or the version that we're on. It's actually disabled by default, and so I was like, we need to turn that. We need to turn that on because, like, yeah, anyone can just force push. Okay, but it's good to know that's the other way here.
yeah, and I enabled like require pull request, so you cannot. That should like enable. So restricted by default, basically.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But yeah, I totally agree. It shouldn't be possible. I mean, that's only for main branch, right? I mean,
Yes, yes, yeah. I think main makes the most sense.
all right. Um, cool. So last thing in the agenda, the Jira CDEvents integration. Is that you, Jalander?
Yeah. Yeah, so I just added, like, it's another tool like that we wanted to integrate with the CDEvents, so that I'm discussing. I think someone else in the community outside also interested in Jira CDEvents integration, I see. So we have some like interest from Ericsson as well, like where Jira need need to be CDEvents enabled. So I have put some like draft, have done some investigation like how Jira events looks and what we can map with the CDEvents, because like we can't do in-house implementation here. Like the plan is to use the webhook adapter for this purpose. So I created a draft RFC. So I think if you have look at this and then provide some comments, that will be great. Anyone?
Yeah.
So you can just open that. Maybe I can just go through what I found. Yeah. So yeah, basically Jira emits different types of events like issue related, project related, user related, and configuration related. So currently we can map using CDEvents webhook adapter. So the ticket events, we can map what we have in CDEvents. So the Jira issue related events that we can map with the CDEvents ticket events that the table shows actually. These are the available CDEvents types that can be mapped with the Jira event types, and what exactly the metadata looks. It is embedded inside event JSON. So it's a big uh, JSON content that is there. Like if you expand, but that's too big to see. Yeah, I just added inside this. So we have different types, but we don't have like the mapping for what Jira events provides other type of events. So those are like project related, user and configuration related. So I'm not sure like this is the right use case for Jira. So right now, only the ticket related events that we have mapping with, but there is no mapping for other type of Jira events and CDEvents if you want to uh, like translate those kind of events too. So uh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess one option, of course, would be in the beginning to use some custom events for those if you wanted to have coverage for those type of events as well.
Mhm.
And yeah, if you think there is value in having them in CDEvents, we need to make a proposal for what they would look like on CDEvent side.
And then I'm going to create a PR. I'm going to pretty print those event JSONs and put them in code blocks. Like, Would everyone be okay with that? Like if you click that event JSON, like I think it's just like on a single line and it's not in code. Like I think if I pretty print that, it'll be a little bit easier to ingest. And just like improve that a little bit.
I wonder if there's a markdown plugin that would do
Just
that
automatically do
automatically.
that. That would be fantastic.
Let me see.
Okay.
But yeah.
So yeah, the similar approach can be followed like using webhook adapter, like what we have now with the Gerrit translator. So we can create something like a Jira translator is like the proposal here. So I
Yeah.
think we can discuss more in the RFC discussion.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think adapter is probably a good starting point at least. And then, yeah, so in future, we might see, but it's not easy to get things implemented right in the core usually. So I think using an adapter is a good way to get started. So,
Yeah. Okay.
all right. Sounds cool. Sounds good. Right. So, I mean, the other party that was interested in this, Jira, I think Steve Pereira. So I pinged him a couple of times, but he has not replied for some time now. So if he comes back, and I'll point him to the proposal under. But yeah, so far he has not replied. So
Yeah, sure.
unfortunately.
Thanks.
All right. Then if there's nothing else, we can close a bit earlier today. Okay. Great to see everyone. And
Yep.
yeah, talk to you tomorrow if you're planning on joining the meeting.
Hey, chat tomorrow.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, hello. How's everything going? What's that? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. What were we doing? We were doing the smoke tests. Okay. Yeah, so let's pull up the smoke tests and I want to see what you're doing exactly. So if you could share your screen. All right, let me see your configuration again. Um, okay, so this is, yeah, you need up and run. Yeah, so you're missing the cube config. That's required. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no. What I meant is that configuration. Go back to that config.yaml. Yes. Okay, as long as that's properly, if that's as long as that's using the proper cube config. Um, okay, okay, just okay, that's good then. Mhm. Okay, okay. And then wait, god damn it. Fucking yeah, yeah. So it's looking for a smoke test pod. So smoke test pod is a pod that it SSHs into to run cube commands or curl cube. Yeah, 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 yeah. So if there's no smoke test pod, it's gonna fail, right? Another way you can do this is um there is an HTTP let's see. Mhm. Oh, yeah, because you went from 16 to 20. So there's probably a huge difference in the SDKs. So you will have to look at what is breaking and what but if you go to the old version works though, right? Does the old version work? Oh, the old version didn't work. Okay, okay. Okay, gotcha, gotcha. All right, do a cube cuddle, get pods and whatever namespace. I'm guessing Spinnaker. Okay, so there is no smoke test pod there. Okay. Um, Yeah. So this is what dev looks like. I want you to notice like the big difference. So this is all under this is all under dev, right? But the biggest one you want to look at is that smoke test pod, right? So it basically SSHs into there. So if we do a describe pod on that, describe pod, what is the smoke test, this, maker, and all right. Forgot how it looks for the smoke test pod. I wonder if it's a regex. I don't remember. Let's see. Smoke tests. This window. Disconnect. And then let's see. Smoke tests. And what was that error? It says cannot find smoke test pod. What was your what was the error? Yeah. Oops. It is, but it's very complicated because there's an idiot on our sister team named Pierre that overcomplicates things that doesn't need to be. So unfortunately, because he's an idiot, it's very difficult to get that deploy manifest. I was gonna just send you the describe pod, and maybe you could just like use that to fill everything. But I think that's gonna be a little bit more difficult than intended. Yeah. I need to find smoke test container. Where is this used? Get smoke test container. You're not gonna find it. Like it's really complicated. Like trust me, it's like take Spinnaker and multiply it by like a billion, and that's the stupidity that you're about to witness if you go in there. So I would avoid that repo. I'm trying to find where this container. Wait until pods are ready. All right, where is this used? Um, oh, Exchange. That's what it is. Okay. Kubernetes pod executor. Okay. So this Exchange is where I believe this sets up the correct thing, the smoke test pod. Yeah. Okay. And then how does it get the smoke test pod? Okay, yeah. So it does look for a name starting with smoke test. So it can just be any sort of pod. It just needs to exist. So just create any sort of pod named smoke test, and that should be fine. I'm trying to see like I think it might need curl though, or maybe not. Which one for smoke tests? Yeah, yeah, there is, but like I said, it has more stuff than you need, and it's not going to work in your environment because it's missing a lot of stuff because of the complications of everything. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It needs to be under your Spinnaker namespace as well. You probably even just use Nginx and it'll be completely fine. Oh, there is the Docker image. This image, right? This is the image that you're talking about. Let me see. I see what you're seeing now. This one, right? That one, right? Yeah, use that one. No, no, no. I just messaged you. Use this Docker image because that'll have all the dependencies and everything that it needs. Yeah, you need a Docker login and use your Apple credentials. Let me see. Where's pulling images? That's pushes. Where's pull? Okay, authentication is not. Oh, it's not needed, but okay. So you don't need. You should be able to pull that. Yeah, yeah, it should be good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wait, pulling in. Are we on the same screen? I don't see that. I just see the terminal. That's all I see. Okay, okay. All right, let's do it. Get pods again. I think your screen is not sharing because it's not doing anything. Yeah, yeah. Stop the sharing and reshare. Oh, gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, because it's trying to run all Spinnaker. The test probably should fail because, like I said, they're failing in Rio, our CI system. But at least it'll run to where things will need to be fixed. Yeah, so it's failing the health checks. Yeah, yeah. Expected 0. Valid basics. Okay, so this is the error that we're saying. Okay, so that just probably needs to be fixed. I don't know what the issue is though. Oh, it's snake YAML? And what the hell is that? No, no, no. I meant what was the error we just saw? Like that's a weird exit code, right? Like the health, yeah. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, so you just need to edit your config, your smoke test config to look for the specific like pods and whatnot. So let me show you where that's done. Okay, smoke test config. Okay, so there is in configuration, you can have a wait for pods and then you specify um like what pods you want to wait for. Oh, so here, wait, what? Oh, wait, this is maintain. No, it says health checks failed, right? So this is look for health checks. So this is I think this is wait for pods. Let me see. What is that error? Health check says what? All right. So here we get health checks, and then what we do here, check services, get enabled. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's only if it's enabled, right? So yeah, again, so you need to now have a Spinnaker services or in the Spinnaker services configuration, um, you need to say what services are enabled, right? Yeah, and then tie it to the endpoint, I think is how that works. No, it's um yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Makes sense. Hmm. And then there's also service endpoints. That's called endpoints, right? There's another key called endpoints where you might need to override as well. You see right below it? Yeah. See, it has like gate port, and all that jazz. Okay, as long as they're the same, you should be good then. Um, okay, cool. Then let's try rerunning it and see if that works. Okay. All right. So what health checks? So it was looking for, all right, front 50. Still same error code. Okay. Probably it probably can't reach that. Yeah, you might. So what I would do is I would SSH into that smoke test pod and just curl that endpoint and see if it works. Because I bet you that endpoint is not valid, right? You probably need the port too, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Wait, let me see. Oh, it's trying, so it's not responding. So that, yeah, like I said, that endpoint's probably not valid, right? Um, because those URLs is what we use internally to proxy things, right? Which I don't think you have that set up. You might, but I don't think you do. Oh, you gotta do /health /health. Enter. Okay, cool. All right, so it looks like it's able to hit that. Okay, so yeah, it looks like there's something off with the smoke test library. So yeah, I'd probably create another radar for that as well, and see if you can fix that. If you have trouble, let me know because the code there is it relies on the Kubernetes SDK, and the Java Kubernetes SDK is the worst thing I've ever. Well, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's close. It's pretty bad. It's a pretty bad SDK. So there's a lot of confusing things. It kind of took me a little bit to figure out how to do things the way that it it like how it works weirdly. I needed to kind of like hack around to handle some things. But my worry is because we made such a drastic update that how I was interacting with it might have changed, right? Because we went basically 4 major versions. So I think that's probably what happened. So, but yeah, it sounds like you got that. What's up? All right. And then in 2 minutes, I have to go. I have another meeting. So yeah.